Hi, and thanks for joining me once again on the In Your PODcket video podcast. There exists a significant disconnect between the average golfing fan watching coverage in their understanding of what it means to be a PGA Tour player. Often, those watching the event coverage sees players arriving to the course in courtesy cars, all the new stuff they receive, including customized everything, and being treated like royalty week in and week out. What they often fail to consider when seeing these images is the countless hours, personal sacrifices they made before and even while they're out playing. My guest this week helps shine a light on the not so glamorous side of professional golf, including the dull reminder of being replaced with thousands of eager candidates. This, of course, in spite of the prospects of experiencing profound and enduring change. If you want to learn the path that one Canadian took to get his shot at a career on the PGA Tour, Mike Gligic has what you're looking for in spades. With that, I hope you enjoy my conversation with PGA Tour player Mike Gligic. So my guest today comes from Burlington, Ontario. He's currently one of 8 Canadians playing on the PGA Tour, and at one point in time was actually ranked higher than Tiger Woods in the official world golf ranking system, which is crazy. Both he and I made up 2/3 of a contingent that was responsible for about 40% of the play counts of Cotton Eye Joe while buzzing around Orlando circa 2007. It makes me very happy to welcome you to the In Your PODcket podcast, Mike Gligic.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Actually, I'm pretty sure there's another song we used to chuck on too, but I couldn't remember it. So maybe I'll have to reach out to Corby and see if he can remember that one.
There was an Akon song that was a banger back then.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wait, just back then?
Oh, yeah.
So PGA Tour member Mike Gligic, like that has to sound amazing. Like, is that starting to sound, I guess, maybe a little bit normal to you?
I guess it is, but I don't know. It still kind of gives me the shivers sometimes. Like, I don't know. When you just go about your day-to-day life, like on tour, it almost feels a little bit like any tour. You're going through pretty similar routines and whatnot. But, the few chances I've had to kind of step back and kind of reflect and think about it, it's a pretty cool and long journey, and happy to get onto the PGA Tour, and now we just got to keep working hard to stay out here and hopefully stay out here for a while.
So, Mike, you're one of the rare people in this world who's lucky enough to live his dream each and every day you wake up. After all of these years of envisioning yourself being a PGA Tour player, tell me, how does the reality of actually being out there stack up against what you thought it might be?
I mean, it's pretty cool. Obviously, the times are a little different right now with COVID and whatnot, so we haven't, maybe I think it was like the fall of my first year on tour. We got to experience some of the big crowds and whatnot, and early 2020. Since then we haven't had the massive crowds or anything. I guess they're slowly starting to creep back, but all the other aspects of being on tour are still pretty much the same, and it's pretty special, and it makes you want to get up in the morning and work pretty hard to keep your job, because there's a lot of guys that are out there fighting hard every day to try and take my job. So just trying to look at it like that and get better every day, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a great lead in because as much as I really want to pump your tires for like an entire show, this pod's really a resource for people who I guess maybe want to hear from those who have walked in the footprints before them. So as of right now, the Masters isn't too far behind us, where Hideki just cashed in 2 sheets. For those who tune in to watch golf or maybe follow specific players on social media, I think they build up this perception of like, wow, what a life those guys must live, and kind of overlook everything else that comes with the job. So, with that said, can you give the audience maybe a Cole's Notes version of your path to the tour and maybe what kinds of sacrifices you've had to make in order to get, I guess, here?
Yeah, I mean, I could probably sit here and talk for an hour about the whole journey and get into pretty big details here, but the first 10 years of my career was not glamorous at all. There was nothing too exciting going on, and I guess the one thing that people don't really see too is it's generally like you're working like 7 days a week and pretty long hours when you compare it to someone who's working, a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. Um, you know, Today was, 2 flights, up at 3:50, 2 flights, get my car, go to get tested for COVID. Now I'm waiting 2 hours, and then I'm going to go play 9 holes and stretch and chip and putt and practice a bit. So, just as like a Monday example, it's, a pretty long day and whatnot. And then Tuesday's a pretty big practice day, Wednesday, and we get into the tournament Thursday through Sunday. So, all week there's no time to really kick the feet up, maybe a little bit at night, but that's about it. And yeah, I guess, you know, the first 10 years or so, people think professional golfer and they think private jets and Lamborghinis and stuff. And, I don't think that's, really a true, representation of most professional golfers. You might have a few of the guys, the Tiger Woodses and the Phil Mickelsons and Dustin Johnsons, whose bank accounts look quite healthy. But, for the most part, and, even guys on the PGA Tour that are maybe rookies or only been out for 1 or 2 years, it's still, we're not going and staying in $500 hotels or, buying massive houses and cars kind of thing. It's, we're still got a lot to achieve and a lot of work to be done to, get, reach those goals that we've kind of set out. So there's a lot to it. And, I don't think the general public really sees that. They just kind of see what's on TV Thursday through Sunday, and, see what the winner's check looks like. And that's about it, I think. But there's, a lot to it, and a lot that goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, these are some of the types of adversities that I was hoping that you'd mention. I want to revisit a specific conversation that you and I had about, I think maybe 7 years ago. It was just before you started your year down in Bermuda. And in not so many words, you were basically contemplating putting a hard stop on your career. And if I remember correctly, you felt as if you were kind of caught in a vacuum where, for all intents and purposes, and no disrespect whatsoever, but you were having the same results, year after year. And that's something that's certainly not unique to you. Can you paint a better picture for, I guess, the listeners to understand this part of your journey, and telling them how you felt at that time?
Yeah, I mean, there was many times in my career where I probably thought of hanging it up or kind of hung it up. A cool story, I'll try and say it in 30 seconds here, but was back in 2011. As you know, and maybe the listeners don't know, I didn't go to college, so I turned pro pretty young. And I just kind of said to myself, I wanted to play a sport growing up. And, I ended up with golf. And I wanted to give a sport a really good, hard, fair go. And I gave it a go for a few years. And, as like an 18, 19, 21-year-old, didn't really have much money, not much sponsorship. So after a few years, I was like, you know what, I'm not really doing a whole lot. I think it's maybe time to hang it up. That was 2011, and my family was in real estate. So I went and started to do all my real estate courses. That was kind of my backup plan. And I was about to do my third real estate course, and it was like April, courses were opening, and I just, hadn't touched a club all winter, and my friends wanted me to go out and, just play a casual round of golf. I'm now, back in school, essentially trying to become a real estate agent. And I think my first round out after not touching a club was like 65. And then like the next, a few days later, went out and shot like 64 or 65 or something like that. And I just kept piling on these crazy low scores. And because I still had status on the Canadian tour, my friends were all like, oh, you got to go like one more year, just a couple more events. And I think I maybe had like $3,000 to my name. So I ended up saying, okay, I'm going to go play the first swing of events. I think it went like Edmonton, Calgary, Winnipeg or something like that, and went out to the first event of the year and won. And that just kind of jump started the whole thing. Then I won whatever it was, $35,000. I had money in my pocket, and here we go again for round two of this playing career. The real estate got put on hold and whatnot. So that's one story I always think of. But and it's not that I wanted to think about quitting or whatnot. I was just kind of like a realist, and I was like, you know what, I don't want to be like a 40-year-old trying to get onto the PGA Tour, and I've had not much success. I was like, I only got one life to live. I want to be a golfer, but I'm going to give it all I got for, I didn't really put a timeline on it until I felt like the time was up. And then I'd move on and do something else. And I'd be perfectly fine with that because I gave it 110%. And if I didn't make it, I didn't make it. I know it's, there's only so many cards on the PGA Tour, and I kind of accepted that in the back of my brain. The one thing that's tough, though, is when you have success at some of the other levels, like on the Mackenzie Tour or the Canadian Tour, I finished 11th on the money list, 11th, 10th, 9th, like 13th or something. So it's not like I was losing my card and stuff. I was right there competing and doing well. And the interesting thing about golf too is when you tee it up like this week, anyone can win. Literally anyone in the field can win. When you go to a tennis match, that's why you see the same four guys: Djokovic, Nadal, Federer, Andy Murray, or like there's like the handful of them. One of them is going to win. And it's not like that in golf. There's always guys moving up and down tours, and everything just, it's all about riding the wave kind of, and riding it while it's hot and kind of holding on if it's not going well. So I kind of knew in the back of my head that, a good wave was going to come soon, and I was just kind of waiting for it, and, eventually caught one kind of, later on in my career. But, not everyone's, Jordan Spieth and Colin Morikawa and Matt Wolff and stuff. There's a lot of different ways to get to the tour, and there's the journeyman, and then there's the guys that kind of break out from college, and I just happen to be the journeyman.
Let's also keep in mind that you're not that 40-year-old that just got your tour card. I mean, you're much younger than that, so maybe journeyman with a heavy asterisk there.
I guess because I didn't go to college and turned pro pretty young, I feel like more of a journeyman, I guess. But
yeah, it's okay. So on the college note, I wanted to maybe cover this. So halfway through, I guess, my freshman year at college, I think I slowly began realizing the value of being surrounded by quality people. And as a pro, I can only imagine I guess the psychological roller coaster that you were basically living day in and day out, of having to deal with not only your own expectations on your own career, but also having the expectation of those around you. Making it to the level that you have doesn't happen on your own. So tell me, who were your outlets to go to when I think things got really hard through, I guess, some of those years?
I mean, I think one of the most important things, especially in our game, I'm sure every game too, but especially in golf, is just to surround yourself with, a really strong, good team, like you kind of mentioned. And I'm sure most of my guys, but, I've been around Sean Foley for 18 years now, Corby for about the same 18 years. Obviously, he was a friend of mine and a player at first, and now he's more on board as like a coach. And Gareth Verflewski's been on board for over 10 years, Paul Doolin for over 10 years. So had, the same kind of group of guys, and, we've all just kind of worked hard, and we all kind of have the same goal. So it's pretty good to kind of watch each other grow as well. Sitting back and watching Sean Foley become Sean Foley is pretty cool. When, thinking back 18 years ago, I was a 13-year-old kid that walked into Glen Abbey, and he was like 24 and just out of college, and didn't even have one student, never mind, Tiger Woods and Justin Rose. So it was, it's pretty cool. Obviously, Gareth Verflewski having a lot of success, mostly on the LPGA Tour. It seems like he teaches half the tour out there. So it's pretty exciting to, follow him. And, I'm sure they kind of feel the same, about me. It's, we're kind of one big family that all works hard and pushes each other. And yeah, it's been good.
I guess maybe on that note too, for a long time, Mike, I thought you've been kind of somewhat a victim of not getting the bounces you probably deserve. And in 2019, well, obviously you finally got some of those to go your way, and you had a breakout year. After that season on the Corn Ferry Tour, things seemed as though I guess they happened quickly, because next thing I knew, you were cheesing on TV in Portland, getting your tour card. Looking back now, would you say that Mike Gligic the mini tour player needed to go through that rough patch in order to become Mike Gligic, the PGA Tour player?
I think so. Like looking back on it too, if you put me, I mean, everyone's different. I get so impressed by these guys like the Morikawas and the Spieths that just break out onto the PGA Tour and just like win. Because looking back on it, like I was kind of like a nervy kid a little bit deep down. If I got uncomfortable situations on the golf course, or playing in front of a lot of people or whatever, I kind of felt it more than probably Spieth or any of those guys do. So if you were to plot me as like, that 21-year-old kid all of a sudden in contention somehow on the PGA Tour, I don't think I would have handled it nearly as well as a lot of these kids do. So I think for me, the whole process has been great just because I've slowly climbed the ranks and started to play on bigger and better tours kind of each year. I've never really, gone backwards. I've always kind of just slowly, but been moving up from, the mini tours to Mackenzie Tour to the Corn Ferry Tour and now to the PGA Tour. So we've always just kind of been climbing. And I think, spending a couple years on each tour has just kind of been, good for me. And, hopefully I can spend lots of years on the PGA Tour. But I think all those years have been, extremely beneficial. And you kind of learn a lot on each level that you kind of progress to. And I think all those tours and events have kind of helped me get to the PGA Tour.
Okay, let's go back to that day, I guess, in Portland there. Locking up your card before the end of the season is definitely one thing. I guess I should say maybe one thing, which had to be amazing in itself, playing free for, at least a portion of the year. But there can't be anything like actually getting your card. So can we relive that, I guess, the night with you? Like, what do you remember from that?
I mean, I remember obviously it was a nice feeling. I think we locked up our card in Colorado, which was maybe like 6 events prior to the Tour Championship, which obviously was a nice feeling. We could just kind of, we were still playing for a lot. Every spot on the list is very meaningful. So we were still playing for a lot, but at the end of the day, we knew we were going to be on the PGA Tour the next year. So that was kind of a bit of a relief. That week in Portland, my wife came out. It was more of a fun week, I guess. We were still there trying to win the golf tournament. Didn't play too well, but I think, once I finished up on Friday, missed the cut, it was a bit of a party, I guess, for a couple days because, it was, 12 or maybe 11, 10, 11, 12-year journey to try and get this PGA Tour card. And that was kind of the weekend it was happening. And it was also, a bit of a celebration too, because after that, the PGA Tour pretty much started up right away. So there wasn't
Right.
really any other time to celebrate. It was, I think we had 4 days off between the Tour Championship ended on a Monday on the Corn Ferry Tour, and then all the rookies had to be in at the Greenbrier for Friday for 2 days of rookie orientation. So we had 4 days off. So, we kind of enjoyed that weekend, and it was pretty fun to be there on Sunday at, Pumpkin Ridge and walking across the green to get your first PGA Tour card. So something I'll never forget. And, hopefully I never have to go back there and walk across that green again. And I can, keep playing well and working hard and just stay out here. But yeah, it's a pretty good feeling. And, I got a lot of good friends actually that are looking pretty good to get their tour cards this year on the Corn Ferry Tour. So pretty nice and happy for them. And, look forward to tuning in and watching them on TV when they get their cards.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think that Taylor and Adam pretty much have their cards wrapped up here. But going back to the rookie camp here, can you give us a little bit of an idea as to what that actually is?
It was just like 2 days worth of meetings. I think everyone kind of went in Friday. I think everyone had to fly in Friday, and there was like a couple-hour meeting Friday night, and then all day Saturday. Pretty much just going over everything and anything you could possibly think of that had to do with the PGA Tour, whether it be health benefits, courtesy cars, getting to the events, traveling to the events, pretty much don't drop F-bombs on TV. It'll cost you a lot of money. And don't get caught breaking clubs on TV. It'll cost you money. And I don't know, just a bunch of things that, no one would really think of, but, retirement plans and I don't know.
Okay.
There was a lot of stuff, but it was pretty informative. But yeah, I wish we would have got a little more than 4 days off.
I think this tour creates, I guess, this illusion where they showcase a product and it's often those who are playing their best that week, which leaves some people to think that, I don't know, golf is easy and maybe they too can maybe give a playing career a go. Where I'm going with this is that with most things, usually if you work hard enough and for long enough, results follow. But with golf, it's not necessarily the case. I know the path to status is different now, but if you could go back to and talk to your 19-year-old self, like what advice would you give in order to maybe help get you here faster, if that's even possible?
Hmm. I guess not that it's like a huge regret of mine. I wish I took fitness a little more um, intense, I guess. That's one thing I struggle with a little bit. I'm not one to go and pump it out in the gym. I don't like it. I don't really enjoy it. I do some stuff, but you won't catch me in there with Bryson, lifting every weight in the gym. I wish I was more into that. I don't know if that's something you can kind of learn, but if I could tell my 19-year-old self something, it would be to learn how to hit the ball far, because the game has definitely gotten long, and length is proven to lead to success. If you look at all the guys in the top 10 in the world or whatever, they're pretty much all bombers. So maybe back when I first turned pro, it wasn't really the case. Hitting it long was, it was nice and it was cool, but now it's kind of proven with stats and everything to really make a difference. And I think if I was a little bit more into the gym at a younger age, it could have been beneficial. I mean, I'm still above average driving distance, but everyone wants to hit it like Bryson now. It's the year we're in, so
Yeah, it's
yeah,
pretty impressive what he's doing there.
very impressive. Yeah.
Let's take a different angle here. Hockey parents, especially those in the GTA, I think have made maybe a not so flattering name for themselves around the ranks. I don't think that that's unique to hockey, and you might agree with me living through various tour lives growing up, but it seems as though the loudest stories, at least that I can register, come from the people or parents who can't draw a distinction between a casual and competitive round. In varying capacities, we both know the differences between each level of tournament golf. So, for the parents out there listening who maybe want their kid to succeed, but they struggle with staying out of the way, what nuggets might you have to offer them in order to help keep them, well, keep the game fun for the kids and not stunting their development as players?
Yeah, I think the one thing is just to keep it fun. Growing up and looking back, I got a lot of juniors in my head. I mean, we played some golf together at a young age. There's probably a lot of parents that, stick out right away in your head that, were super, super intense, and, none of those kids really made it. You know, my parents, um, I was pretty fortunate in the sense that they knew that I wanted to play a sport, and I didn't even really care what sport it was. I just wanted to be an athlete. That's what I played so many sports growing up. I loved the competitive aspect of all the sports, and um, they never pushed anything on me. They just, were nice enough to drive me to the rink or the baseball diamond or the golf course and drop me off and pick me up later on. And I would go out and play the occasional round with my dad and go to the range and whatnot, but that was the extent of it. Like, my dad never, maybe when I was really, really young, but my dad never tried to teach me, coach me, guide me in any direction. He kind of stayed out of it. I'm pretty fortunate for that. Sometimes parents can, they're trying to help. It's not like these parents are not trying to help, but I think they're just not doing it the right way. And, if I'm a parent one day and, my kids are into sports, I'd probably just want to hire, a good coach. We got fortunate walking into Glen Abbey, and Sean Foley happened to be the first one we saw, but hire a good coach and, kind of let them take over. They're the experts, and, they'll do a good job guiding your kid in the right direction.
Yeah, maybe sometimes less is more, right?
Absolutely.
There's a saying that rising tide floats all ships, and there's no denying that the Canadian contingent on tour has been growing over the years, you being a contributor to this. What do you think is driving the growing number of Canadians playing NCAA and pro golf?
I'm not sure. I mean, Golf Canada does a pretty good job with their development, their amateur program, their pro program. I think only about half the guys on tour actually went through that program. I didn't, Sloan didn't, Adwin, I'm sure someone else. But I don't know. It's been a pretty good batch there, between Corey, Mack, Pendy, a bunch of guys. So I think next year we're going to be adding at least 2 guys to the PGA Tour. So hopefully, the rest of us on tour can keep playing well and keep our cards, and maybe we'll add to it. Because, I think this year might have been a record, and, hopefully we can add to it. But I'm not too sure what the recipe is, but, I'm not going to go trying to figure it out. Let's just hope everyone keeps doing what they're doing, and, we'll see more Canadian flags out there.
All right, so enough about your job. I want the listeners to get a sense for who you are away from the course. You share some things in common with Jordan Spieth and Ernie Els, having someone in your family affected by autism. Do you want to talk a little bit about that and, maybe what you're looking to accomplish using the platform that you have available to you?
Yeah, my brother has pretty severe autism. He's nonverbal and 28 years old now. It's something that's always obviously been close to me and my family, and something I've always wanted to try and give back to. Obviously, it's tough when you're staying in Days Inns and, living with, no money in your bank account playing the mini tours. But, now that, we've gotten to the PGA Tour and got a little bit of a platform, I guess, trying to use that to the best I can, and try and help out and give back any way I can. So, for now, we're trying to do a little bit with Els for Autism. My, long-term goal is to keep playing well and, get another year or 2 on tour and better established, and then maybe start our own foundation. But, for now we're trying to, tag on to Ernie Els and his foundation. They do an unbelievable job. They're actually located down in my neck of the woods in Florida now, like Palm Beach Gardens, Jupiter area. So I'm actually supposed to be going out to their facility pretty soon, and they got a little golf portion at their facility too. I think they maybe have like 3 holes that some of the kids go out and play on and whatnot. So it's pretty cool, and I'm hoping that I can get out there and maybe help the kids out on the golf course. And obviously, any chance I get, I occasionally do like the birdies and eagles, whatever it is, $20 birdies and $50 eagles or something like that. Where I'll try and get some people on board to, match it or kind of donate what they can, and go out and kind of have fun and try and make lots of birdies and raise some money. So, we're doing a few things, and, I'm just hoping to keep that going and keep growing that. And, one day, hopefully pretty soon down the road, we'll be able to do something ourselves. But for the meantime, Jordan Spieth does a great job with his foundation, and Ernie Els with Els for Autism is one that I've just kind of gravitated to, mostly because it's down in the South Florida area. So, yeah.
Speaking about matching, I know that you've partnered with the Whistlebear Golf Club in order to bring to life the Gligic sponsored athlete program. This is something that you have to be so proud of in bringing to life. Can you bring the listeners up to speed with what this actually is?
So a bunch of, myself and a couple partners got together, and we wanted to try and give like a golf package essentially to a junior golfer that kind of needs it. And this year was a perfect year to start because a lot of families are struggling and kids are struggling and whatnot. So um, essentially, we got a Whistle Bear Junior membership with. They have an amazing junior elite program there with tons and tons of kids with great instruction. Kind of reminds me of when we used to go to Glen Abbey and they had their junior elite program there with Foley and O'Shea and all those guys. So the junior gets the membership, the all the coaching for the year, full bag of all fitted clubs, level wear clothing package and whatnot. So we got it was going out all over the radio and social media and whatnot, and we got tons of applications. And I was fortunate to pick a good kid not too long ago, and pretty cool to that was my first time I think myself actually like really like giving back and like making like a big difference in someone's life. And it's a pretty cool like FaceTime or Zoom call to make the kid and the family were obviously thrilled. And yeah, it was pretty cool to be a part of that.
Yeah, that's sweet of you, Gligs. That's a big boy move right there. That's for sure. Embracing my new roots in Guelph here and being a dog lover myself, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about your wife Natasha's business venture. I saw that she put you to work pretty good there recently, but was your agent actually able to get you an equity stake in the company? Just asking.
I wish. No, but yeah, Natasha, my wife, I think she's been at it for, I think it's over 6 years now. So she has a small business that she's been working on. It's called Walk in the Bark, and she makes pet accessories. So anything, collars, leashes, bandanas, harnesses, poop bag holders, you name it. She can make anything pretty much custom or whatever. So she's got a pretty big following on social media. She knows how to do the social media game 20 times better than I do. I pretty much give her the phone to make my posts because I don't know what I'm doing. And yeah, she's a whiz at it, and she's got a big following. So she, gets a lot of her sales from online, but she's also, working on the wholesale side of things too. And she's gotten into a bunch of like smaller boutique stores and whatnot. And yeah, she's done a great job and worked hard. And it's pretty cool to kind of see her business develop from, it all started because we got our dog, whatever, 6, 7 years ago, and we ordered him his first collar online, and it broke. And she kind of looked at it and was like, man, I feel like I could make this. She's always kind of been artsy, crafty kind of girl. And she borrowed her grandma's sewing machine and used like a pillowcase and ordered a buckle. And sure enough, she made like this sweet collar. So she was like, I'm going to order some fabric and make like a good looking one. And next thing you know, all our friends and family wanted it. And then they were like, oh, why don't you like put it for sale online and just make an Instagram account? And next thing you know, she's got whatever, 40 or 50,000 followers and this, huge following online. And, it started as just something for fun. And she ended up she had a couple jobs back then, and she ended up quitting one job and then had to quit the next job. And now it's, full-time gig. And, if there's one person that works harder in the world than me, might even be her. She puts in a lot of long hours. And like you kind of mentioned, there's a few times where she kind of hints at it, like, would you mind helping me a little bit? So there was a few times there. I think it was just before Christmas, and COVID was going on and whatnot, so she was swamped. And I dedicated a couple hours every day, and yeah, we kind of tag teamed it. It was fun.
Here's hoping for the at least for the rest of the year here, you don't have any time to give her on the weekends. But Mike, thanks so much for giving me a little bit of your time today. I know that it
Yeah,
kind of
no worries.
sucks being in limbo here, waiting, I guess, to head out to the course, but I wish you all the luck in the world. Thanks a lot, eh?
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Tim.
And there you have it. Mike was good enough to give us a little bit of his time before he started his tournament week. I hope that by sharing his journey, the average fan now recognizes that the lives of most of these golfers who we see on TV are living fairly normal lives, considering, I guess, the magnitude of the tournament purses that they're competing for. This, in addition to the fact that the path for success on the PGA Tour comes in many different forms, ranging from the generational talents to one which Mike likened to his own situation, being that of a self proclaimed journeyman. Mike is a testament to those having high aspirations that professional success can be attainable, given the right amount of skill, work ethic, and good fortune, of course. I hope that you've enjoyed this episode, and until next time, thanks again for joining me in talking about the things that matter.